things moving. As we do when we convene this committee, I acknowledge and pay respects to the traditional owners, the Aboriginal people of these lands and waters, and we acknowledge all their descendants. We also acknowledge the many Aboriginal people from other regions, as well as Torres Strait and South Sea Islander people who now live in the local area and have made an important contribution to our community. Thanks for coming, everyone. Great having Councillor Patterson, Councillor Gates, Councillor Young with us today as visitors to committee. Thanks for coming. Appreciate it. Why don't we kick off? There's no leaves of absence. I don't think there's any apologies. Everyone's here. Can I get a mover for the last minutes? Councillor Fowler, thank you. A seconder. Thank you, Councillor O'Neill. All those in favour? We'll adopt those minutes. Wonderful. We have some start items today. We've got the forward planning schedule and then the biosecurity plans and the evacuation planning. There is a short... The evacuation planning item was actually in conjunction with a question that was asked by Councillor Wilkinson. So, Councillor Wilkinson, did you want... I've asked Mark to be prepared to answer some questions about that report today. Did you want to unstar it, or how are you feeling about it? Great. It wasn't a GBI. It was a question, I think, asked in a committee, and we brought back a report as a result. It might have formed part of a resolution at one point. It was a report that was subject to that. Do you guys want to unstar it?
No, I was just curious why it was there. It wasn't a GBI, that's all.
Yeah, my understanding or my recollection is that it was part of a resolution and a series of questions that Councillor Wilkinson asked specifically about local government collaboration and evacuation planning when circumstances come up. So it addresses a number of matters that were related to Councillor Wilkinson's questions. But if no one actually wants to ask questions about it and is happy with the report and its recommendations, we won't unstar it today. All right, Mark, you're off the hook. Well played. No one wants to open up the biosecurity programs? Great, excellent. Okay, do I have a mover for the start items? Thank you, Councillor Fowler. Seconded, Councillor Marshall. All those in favour? Motion is carried. Awesome. Biosecurity programs and the officers relating to those two items obviously dismissed. See you guys. Thank you for coming. We're going to kick off with then a number of closed session reports. The first on the list is the Gold Coast State Emergency Service Facility Strategy. And the reason for it being in closed session is because it relates, I believe, to negotiations between the state and council and also the local government's budget. And so we will move to close. There is a presentation on this one, isn't there? Yeah, great.
May I ask, is it possible to have the presentation in open, or is that not possible?
Yeah, possibly. We might be able to do some of it. Mark? To what extent can
there are financial matters in the presentation?
There are some?
Yep.
Yeah, so the answer is no, unfortunately, Councillor Patterson, as much as I'd like to. Can I get a mover to close? Councillor Fowler, seconded Councillor O'Neill. All those in favour? That motion is carried. All right, we're back in open. We've had a discussion of some budget allocations for the State Emergency Services facilities, but the remainder of debate we're going to hope to have without reference to those financial elements. And Councillor Patterson, you said you had some ideas about a different motion. I appreciate you're not a committee member, but you're welcome to propose that now.
Thank you. My suggestion is, given the state contributions that we've seen to these kind of facilities in other councils, that at this stage we maintain 1, 2, 3 and 3A, and then B, C and D goes into a new statement that says that council engages with local SES or consults with local SES and jointly presents a need for funding to the state government.
So the volunteer organisations? Is that loosely what you're proposing?
Sorry, say that again.
You're proposing that council engage with the volunteer organisations.
Yeah, the local SES organisations, and then jointly present. So we go find out what our local SES groups think is required, and then they and us go and advocate to the state government, as has been done by local governments across the state, before we go and pay for things which is a tradition of the state to contribute the majority of funding for.
All right, so I'm going to pose that as a question and open to the manager. Mark, can you talk a little bit about the level of engagement that this plan has had with local volunteer groups up to this point in time?
Thanks, and through you. Thank you, Chair, for the question. The answer is limited as far as the locality base. We've certainly been talking to the State Emergency Service around what their design desires would look like, what does a future SES building look like, what's fit for purpose. The actual locations were subject of consultation post presentation initially to committee here today. And then that's where we would then go to a comprehensive consultation period with our local, particularly our local execs who represent the 400 odd volunteers across the city. But if we have to go deeper than that, then that's what we would do around what they think, what their ideas are, and then align that to the current plan that we're proposing today.
Yeah, so it occurs to me that had we adopted the officer recommendation, the next step would have been engagement with the local SESs in order, because we're not going to force them to do anything. But I actually don't think Councillor Patterson's proposal is bad at all. I mean, it seems like it still enables you to go and undertake that work, and it doesn't really change things at all. But I think if that would give Councillor Patterson more satisfaction, I think, is there any objection from you about that?
No, not at all. As I said, we're more than happy to take that consultation, which could be done in the next 4 to 6 weeks, and then bring that back and show the alignment to the proposal plan versus the feedback, and be really transparent around that.
And then just bring a report back to the committee and work out the next steps. Councillor Patterson, how do you feel about that?
Thank you. If I could just have a look at it again, I would think 4 needs to be removed because the old 4 is removed. And the BCD becomes, yeah.
And help me understand why you're proposing to remove 4?
So, because we wouldn't be endorsing funding before we go to the state government and ask if they're going to pay for it, like they do in all the other local governments. So, we're asking for, I mean, what would be the point if we're basically going to commit the funding ourselves? So my point of this change recommendation is this city consistently cost shifts, and we do it. We don't even, the state doesn't even put the cost shifts onto us. We actively take on costs that really consistently are covered by the state in every other local government other than ours. So for us to do this work before we even go to the state, before we even consult with our local SESs, is totally about face. I'm okay with the idea of keeping those 3 items in because of the work that the officers have done. But again, I do think it is slightly about face, and I would prefer that we'd gone out to our local guys on the ground who are doing this work and get their sense first. But that, I'm not on the committee, but
right.
I could support that at the moment.
That's all right. Well, this is only going to be a recommendation to council anyway, and you are obviously on the council, so you're welcome to make suggestions. I wanted to double check, in the examples that were provided to us today, there was multiple collaborative funding agreements where local governments and state governments partnered in funding, and there was none that I could see that were entirely funded by the state. Most of them had a local government contribution, and I'm conscious that
That's right.
4 enables us to make a co-contribution, and I would hate to think that we were excluded from doing that. Are you wedded to removing 4 to support it at council?
I think it is important to remove it at the moment. I do, because
Why?
but hey, it's
funding support to indicate it's not just.
I'll leave that one for the committee members to consider.
So what's
I think it again is too early. I think we find out what we present to the state, and then we work it out from there. But I don't see any need and any urgency to do that. It really limits our negotiating power. If you say, okay, we're going to go advocate for you, but hey, we've already endorsed that we're going to pay for stuff, right? I think it's cleaner without it for the moment.
Councillor Wilkinson, you have a question? And Councillor O'Neill. You're first, Councillor Wilkinson, then Councillor O'Neill.
Thank you, Chair. Mine was just, it just captures, I think, what your sentiment was before, perhaps in this change recommendation, is that just there be a D under 4 that just basically says that a report be brought back to the city further to those conversations with the state government outlining what the result was. Yeah. And then that would allow us to potentially give consideration to number 4 in the original recommendation down the track.
Yeah.
So whether that could be added as just a D to the change recommendation, that a report be brought back to the council, presenting the results of the negotiations with the state government or something of that nature.
Let's get those words. That the report be brought back to the LER committee, lifestyle and LER committee by September.
And I don't know if you're
addressing the feedback from local SES organisations. And the state government? Is that what you mean, Councillor Wilkinson?
Yeah.
So that's going to be a 5 instead of a D. But, yeah. Are you satisfied with that wording for now, before I move to Councillor O'Neill?
I think that's fine, Chair. I think, that captures it, I believe.
Councillor O'Neill.
Thanks, Chair. The sentence that Councillor Patterson has put in number 4, should it come after, like we're talking about delivery of the upgrades, I don't understand why number 4's there instead of maybe underneath. I don't know. It seems really strange. So we're talking about endorsing delivery, but then we're talking about engaging. So are we getting rid of something? Or are we noting something instead of noting that we need the delivery of? Or that sort of doesn't make sense to me at the moment.
The motion on the floor effectively creates a new step between us immediately going to the local SESs and assuming we have funding for these projects, and says that before we fund the projects, we need to talk to you, local volunteer groups, about these projects. What it doesn't do is it doesn't stop us from doing the immediate soft upgrades, which is $1 million or thereabouts, that is detailed in the report in attachment 1.
Which I'm totally in favour of.
Yeah, so we need to do those immediate upgrades, but it means that the other elements, the spoke and hub model of that formed part of the confidential report, won't be funded until we've had a conversation.
I'm just questioning, are we still endorsing the delivery of the strategically located hubs?
Those are not endorsed for delivery until the report comes back.
Okay. We don't have to change any of those words, you don't think?
No.
Okay.
I think that by circumventing the word endorsed in 3 and putting the 4 in, we've effectively said that A, B and C under 4 in this proposed motion is subject to a further report to council and isn't yet endorsed.
Okay, that's fine.
Councillor Patterson.
Just to tidy up wording, in point 3 now, because we've taken out those other points, you could take out the A and just say the council endorses the proposed SES uplift program, including the delivery of immediate soft upgrades. Thank you.
Immediate delivery of immediate soft upgrades. Yeah. Great. Has everybody got a chance to read at the moment? Councillor Wilkinson, are you comfortable enough to move that, unless there's any further adjustments we want to make?
Word including.
Councillor Wilkinson and then Councillor Castro.
Sorry, sir. Sir. Sorry, Chair.
You can call me whatever you like. It's all good.
Whether in point 3, instead of including comprising, just a change of word, the delivery of immediate, because I just think the
comprising the delivery.
Of,
okay.
like I say,
you want to use
perhaps, but
yeah. So you want to use the word comprising instead of including?
Correct. Comprising.
Okay. If it's going to be your motion, that might be good. You can have the words. Councillor Lacastro.
Thanks, Mr. Chairman. It was only just related to something you mentioned about other facilities throughout the state being joint funded as such, and I'm just wondering, I know it's implied in 4, but whether it just needs to be just tweaked a little so it says something along the lines of, well, probably needs to change the order of it, but it would, don't change anything just yet, but it would read that Council engages with the local SES organisations and jointly presents to the state government a need for co-funding for the following.
To the state government.
Because that way it implies that we're not asking them, it spells out we're not asking them for the lot, but we're saying that it will be co-funded, but it would just need to be jointly presents to the state government a need for co-funding for the following.
That's it.
Yeah. I just think it might spell it out and sound and be a bit tidier.
Wordsmithing is great.
Yeah.
So has everyone had a chance to read it? Does anyone have any other questions, or can we? All right. Well, I'll move that, and maybe Councillor Wilkinson, you can second it. So first of all, I'd say thank you, Councillor Patterson, for offering some insight today. Great having you with us. The substance of this changed recommendation effectively inserts a new step where we take steps immediately to undertake these soft upgrades, which, like I said, is in an adopted budget. We've already got money set aside for those purposes. And it includes a new step where we take the plan that forms part of this confidential report today and we take it to the local SES groups, and over the next 90 days or thereabouts, we have a chat with them about what these plans look like, and discuss a potential submission to the state government for a co-funding model to see this project come to life. Does anyone want to speak against the motion? Councillor Patterson, I'd love you to say a few words, considering it was your crafted motion.
Thank you, Councillor Tozer. Chair, the SES volunteers of the Gold Coast go above and beyond, and it is essential that they have the basics required to do the job when they go and really put themselves out for others in the community. The officers here have done the work to make sure that the facilities in the future are up to standard. The concern that it appears is shared by the councillors here today is that the city pays well above its needs in comparison to the state on many different issues. And this is not necessarily the state's problem. We are a council that gets in and gets things done, and so we just get committed. But it is essential that we are not allocating ratepayers' dollars to any kind of projects where the state really should be putting in. This change recommendation ensures that that process occurs and that we are looking at getting the same kind of percentage deal for our local government as is seen across the state. Thank you.
That's great. Any other remarks want to be offered? All right, we'll take the vote. All those in favour? Motion is carried. Thanks to the team. The next item on the agenda is the Hinterland Gateway Community Hub, which is also enclosed. So I'll invite the team in and then we'll discuss why we're going to close. G'day, Susan. Now, the item is in closed session, but it relates in the report is matters pertaining to commercial engagement with the council about, you know, assets that we own, and there's elements in there, but there's definitely quite a bit of information in this report that is non-confidential, that's already in the public domain, and I wondered to what extent can we remain in open at this stage? Maybe Chris, that's a question to you.
Yeah, thanks, Mr. Chair. I suppose in the first instance there's a presentation, and in that presentation has got some figures which are probably commercial in confidence at this stage.
Yes.
But I think probably through the presentation is probably a good opportunity to go through close, and then maybe after that we could look at the option to go into open.
Great. All right, well, let's do that. Can I get a move it to close then? Councillor Fowler? Councillor Wilkinson will second that. All those in favour? Let's move to close. you. Councillor Doran, are you comfortable moving this? Of course. So Councillor Doran will move it. I'll second it. And the opening remarks are ceded to Councillor Young.
Thanks, Chair, and thanks, councillors, for the contribution during that debate. It's great, and I'm supportive of the motion before us now. It's a different position than where I thought we would be, but I'm comfortable with it because it gives a clear indication that our intention at this point in time is to retain the Nerang Library in public ownership and to use it as a library until such time as hopefully we'll have a new library provided in the yet-to-be-determined Gateway Hub, which we're all keen on delivering, but we have a significant process ahead of us in terms of vacating that site, putting it out to the market, and having the hub delivered as a returnable works package to compensate for the or to enable council to deliver this product for the community in association with the housing project that would occur on that site. We've got some great resources behind this in terms of our consultants and our staff within the council. I'm really grateful to everyone for that ongoing opportunity for discussion and negotiation. I'm really grateful to councillors now for their contribution to this motion. As I said, different point of view, different position than I had anticipated, but I'm very supportive.
Great. Anyone want to speak against?
I'd like to speak.
For? Yeah, of course. Councillor Patterson, please.
Thank you. I'm very glad to see that this recommendation is up to retain the Nerang Library. Personally, I would just have it as a full stop and take out at this time. It's recognised that a broader council presence will make the hub more successful. No consideration is given to the contribution that council makes by having a library at the centre of the small business area of Nerang. This community hub will be an investment by one big project developer. We're putting our investments and our community resources into that, and the suggestion was to gut them out of the Nerang local centre, town centre. So I'm really glad that that is not the case for the moment. Having said that, I was pretty shocked to see a for sale sign on public real estate sites before anything had come to council about selling that site. And now, and I'll be making sure through the governance committee that we assess the processes so officers don't go past what council resolutions allow. I think the city needs to make an apology to whichever prospective buyers invested their time and energy on a for sale that was put up without any resolution from council. And now whatever time and investment that they put into that is for naught because we have decided that we're not going to continue at this time. Thank you.
Councillor Doran, actually, before I go to you, does anyone want to make remarks or no? Councillor Doran, you're welcome to close.
Thank you. So on this matter, we'll go back to first principles. We have a building, the Nerang Administration Centre, that's been there for a long time. That it was previously determined that it's no longer needed. We've moved the workforce to Bundle. It's now end of life and requires some action to happen on that space. The council has land holdings of that and near that in terms of next door, and we have a good library sitting in Nerang. The decision, overall decision that we're making today is to advance something we've already made before, which was to go down the path of looking to get maximum value for ratepayers on that block of land that we no longer need anymore. Part of that is to also contribute in a wholesome way to playing what small part council can play in addressing some housing concerns across the supply across the city, and so they're offering a site that we no longer need for additional housing, but also to recycle that into a future Nerang Hinterland Gateway community hub, which the intention was that it would be bigger and better than the existing library at a time in which it's delivered. I think they're pretty good principles to have. It's taking an asset that is needing capex or is not being used and turning it into something that is used, and at the same time using the surplus space to, if the market wants it and the market can use it and the market's prepared to pay for it at a fair rate and a deal that we're prepared to accept on behalf of ratepayers, so the value for money is achieved, and that seems like a good outcome for everyone, and it continues to revitalise some tired spaces in the city in a responsible way and in accordance with our local government obligations. I think what we've done today is we've said, well, part of that process is upon absolute certainty of delivery of the community hub space, then we'll look at our continued holdings at that point, but we're not going to take any risk as a council, as a committee. We're recommending the council not take any risk on anything that puts at risk the existing centre's life until such time as something else is provided, and the council is supportive of that, that initiative we put forward. I think that's, come back, first principles, I think that's a pretty responsible way to behave with an asset that is no longer part of our needs. And I think that where we've arrived today with the support of the Divisional Council, I think it's a sensible outcome.
That's great. Debate's closed. I'll take a vote. All those in favour? Motion is carried. Is there any other general business anyone wants to raise today? Meeting closed, 11:06.